If you have trauma that has you stuck, you're going to want to hear this video. Just give me 1 second. This process allows you to handle any of the traumatic upsets that you still have bothering you and triggering you in your day-to-day life. I'm going to walk through this process very quickly, but if you want a more detailed description of what the forgiveness process is, you can check out my book, which is available on KU as well as on the Zon. You can check out the link in the bio. Before I get into what this process actually is, it's important for me to tell you about a couple of different details. So this process comes from A Course in Miracles and essentially the Way of Mastery, non-duality. So non-duality is listening to the voice of spirit over that of ego, of love over that of fear. So that's what we're doing, is we're taking a grievance or a trigger or an upset where we have ourselves listening to the voice of fear, and we're going to shift our focus to listening to the voice of love. If we're not able to do that easily in our minds without effort, sometimes that gives us an indication that we need the forgiveness process so that we can hand over anything that's not already been dealt with to our higher selves, to the Holy Spirit for correction, so that we can live in harmony with peace, joy, and serenity. Now, before you begin this process, it's important to keep in mind that the ego itself is going to have you wanting to stay stuck. So when you start to want to work on these issues, these triggers, take responsibility for your own healing, your ego might start to give you a little bit of backlash. And what that's going to look like is you might get sleepy, you might get hungry, you might fall into old patterns, or you might just not want to do it. But I'm telling you, this works. The other potentially unexpected or unintended consequence of this process is that there can be a complete shift in circumstances in your outer world as a result of having done this work. As you uncover those blocks to love, you're going to be able to hear the guidance within from your higher self a little more easily. So here's where we get into the meat and potatoes of the process. So I invite you to stick around. You're going to want to save this video for later. And if it resonates with you, if you find it helpful, I invite you to share it with others. More healing for the whole entire world means that we have a more peaceful world to live in. So step one of this process is describe the perceptual problem or feelings. This is going to be hopefully a lengthy process where you're going to get into the feelings in relation to the situation that has you triggered. So you're going to say, when my partner doesn't load the dishwasher properly, I feel enraged, upset, angry, frustrated, and you're going to get out a thesaurus and journal through all of those feelings. When you draw up that particular event in your mind, you're going to get a whole bunch of emotions that are going to surface because perhaps you haven't had a chance to feel your way through those emotions yet. So you're going to take an opportunity to feel through those emotions by journaling them all out, getting a thesaurus, making sure to be as thorough as possible, and really feeling those feelings in the body, okay? Once you're done that, we're going to move on to the journaling process itself, where we're going to describe our thoughts, memories, and fears that are surfacing in relation to these particular emotions. What this means is we're going to do a stream of consciousness journaling process where we're going to get every thought out related to the feelings that have surfaced, and we're going to perhaps even draw up more feelings that we can add to the list before this. Now, this video is going to be a little bit longer because we have to talk about a particular example that is easy to understand. So if I'm journaling my thoughts, memories, and fears because my partner made a comment about my weight, then I feel turns into I feel angry, hostile, rage, resentful, worried, guilty, hurt, and sad, and a whole bunch of other things. And then when I come up to the journaling experience, what I say is, when I think about the comment that my partner made about my weight, I feel hurt. I try to be as healthy as I can to avoid criticism. I've always had trouble losing weight my entire life. I know that people treat me differently because of my weight, and it's tough to change. And I'm just going to journal this out until I can't think of any other things that come out of my mind in relation to this particular set of feelings and trigger. Once I'm done, there's a more challenging process of uncovering the unconscious beliefs that are underneath these thoughts. These beliefs, in particular, the ones that are related to this example that I am sharing with you here, are like, what must I believe about myself to have these things show up in the world? What must I believe about myself to have created this experience, to have created this experience in the world? Because thoughts become things, so we choose the good ones, and our perception creates our reality. So if we have a perception that we are not worthy, that we are not loved, that we are not perfect, then we are going to create an experience that shows us that in the world. Then we're going to take this set of beliefs and we're going to actually do the forgiveness process. We're going to look at what we desire to experience instead. We're going to forgive ourselves for believing the things that we've believed that have created this experience in our reality. And we're going to surrender these beliefs over to our higher selves for correction, or to the divine, or to universe, spirit, or God, depending on what your beliefs are. Last, we're going to take some time to listen for the guidance that comes through and reflect on what we've done. This can sometimes be where you'll start to see the shifts that exist in your surroundings, and you'll start to see new insights come through, which will help you heal in the long run. Now, I want to offer to you, if you're a subscriber, you are welcome to reach out by direct message and I will help you through this process. So that is for the price of less than a cup of coffee. This book is also a great resource. It's in my link in bio. You can check that out. But if you're having trouble with this process or you're having trouble understanding it, reach out in the comments, reach out by message. And if you're a subscriber, I will help you with this process one-on-one. I hope that you find this process helpful. If you have any questions, like I said, reach out. And today we talked about how the forgiveness process can help us be our own healer, taking control, taking responsibility for how we behave and making positive changes and positive growth through just a journaling process.